Wild was the winter, she had strength left within her. Ground grew colder and covered in white. The woods wept and shivered, they were raised for their timber. If they could, they would run for their life.
Welcome back to the Home Slice, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages. Those of you who've been following along some of the testing that I've been doing will know that a few months ago I did a test where I took a dual grit sharpened Kabar Becker BK7 and did about 1,000 chops and batoned with a big, fat, heavy piano leg, and observed some interesting things, like some really quick dulling, and then it seemed to actually come back and reach a level of sharpness that was almost back to the original one before going down again in the best numbers. So today we're back to do a little bit more testing in that vein. I've got my Kabar Becker BK7 sharpened up to a hair whittling edge. I went a little off script with that last video, so I'm going to try to kind of emulate what I did there, and it'll be a best test every 100 chops. If we get a real strange number, I might double test and use the average, but we're going to try to stick to the kind of the same testing method that I used for that one. And at about 600 or 700 chops, we'll start chopping a bit harder, and then we'll introduce the Caveman baton at about 800 chops, and we'll just see how it does for the 1,000 chops. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. $281. $281, holy cow. Whew. Just a second, guys. I gotta get my best machine out of the sun. It's getting really hot. Whew. Okay. Sweat on my glasses. What shall we say about that, friends? What shall we say? I think my best testing was a little bit better this time in terms of I got the machine more dialed in and I'm getting the string tension a lot more constant these days, and I think the numbers reflect that. I also set the pedestal at a point where I could butt this sharpening guard up against it so that it tested like pretty perfectly in the center of the sweet spot, the chopping zone. Look how much that coating is stripped back. That's gnarly. I might have to refinish this thing. But the numbers were much more even. I wish I would have retested that 310 because it probably was just an extra rounded piece of edge, because all of the other measurements were around the 220 to 240 mark all the way through. That blows my mind. I thought that a hair whittling edge would fold over and impede the cutting if it wasn't a hair whittling edge that's under 50 bes. So how shall we respond? Let's see if this thing still shaves. You think he's gonna shave? What? Guys, it still shaves. That's gross. My sweat has it stuck to my hand. It still shaves. We gotta tomato test this, okay? But I'm gonna have to say, as of this video, my official position has changed. And I think that in chopping knives, you need to sharpen for minimal burr. I think that dual grit method actually is not the best sharpening method for chopping knives because the data is just pretty clear. Like my dual grit went from 200 to like, what would it be? It was around the 420 mark, and then went back up to around 200 and back down. This one stayed around 200 the whole time with almost zero variation other than that 310, which may have been a bit of an outlier. It's still shaving, it's still functioning. Now, I tried so long to get this under 100 best that I like stropped it on denim and did a bunch of stuff. And I think all of that stuff really minimized the burr, but it also went to smaller and smaller abrasives where I usually rush from a coarse grit to more of a fine grit. I actually went through more of a progression on this. And this seems to sort of legitimize that research that says that when you step through the grits slowly, you minimize subsurface damage. And so you have less steel right at the edge that's undergone plastic deformation, changing shape to where it will never have the same structure in the atoms. And I think that if you're chopping, a hair whittling edge is going to last longer and be functional longer than a dual grit edge, it looks like. Fancy that. That's kind of cool though. I think that probably an edge under 100 best would be ideal, and so I'm still going to have to work on that. But I think that as of this video, in my chopping tests, I am going to switch my sharpening method. And for my next series of chopping tests, I am going to do edges with minimal burr, as low of a best reading as possible, because I can't argue with these numbers. Here's the numbers on the sheet. Maybe I'll put them up on the screen as well, but 239, 209, 238, 239, 310, 234, and I was like, oh, it should be going up if the last one was 310, so I tested again, it was 242, so the 310 is likely to be the one that's out of place. Then 230, 231, 221, and then retested, and it was 232, because that was after the Caveman baton. I wanted to make sure we were getting an accurate read there. It seemed like it should have dulled it more. And then this last one, I literally blasted right through a knot, like with all of the force that my arms could muster at this point. And it only took it up to 281. 281, it's still shaving, guys. What the heck? I have got to try a hair whittling Falcon Even A1 now, because that thing had a dual grit edge and it lasted for 14 hours. I just don't even know what it's gonna do. But maybe higher alloy is better suited to dual grit. I don't know. We'll have to do a bit more testing of this. Anyway, I hope you had a good time. I'll throw a tomato test at the end of this video. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Okay. Squishy tomato. This is an heirloom tomato this time. My wife's making bruschetta for us and some friends for a fancy dinner tonight. So I gotta cut it this way, which is not my normal method, but it's all good. I mean, I want to have it on the bruschetta, so gotta preserve it. Kabar Becker BK7, Old Faithful. So this thing's done over 1,000 chops this morning, and yep, let's see how it does. So pinch grip, no pressure, 5 passes. Oh, what in the world? 4, 5. Guys, look at that. That was 5 cuts with no pressure. What in the actual world? Oh my goodness. So on the one hand, this is just funny because this channel is super hilarious, because it's like this string of like me thinking that things are a certain way and then coming up with a test to see if that like is observably true, and then finding out that I know nothing. Oh my gosh. So anyway, apparently full deburring as possible is good for chopping, and a hair whittling edge, while it is failing all of the rope cut tests that I am doing, is apparently pretty decent at chopping. I think because there's just a tiny little foil burr, and that jump from the initial like 150 to the like 200s is probably that little foil burr just getting stripped off, but then it leaves still a pretty strong fine apex that doesn't have a lot of damaged steel. Very, very interesting. Well, I'm super excited to put this knowledge to use and to go out and see what kind of results we can get in chopping down wood and brush. But I hope that you have enjoyed this roller coaster of an episode. I'm going to have to try out the Falcon even now with a hair whittling edge or a sub 100 best edge, because these results are blowing my mind. Anyway, if you already knew that that was the case and you just knew it in your soul, then way to go, you guys who are way ahead of me. But I'm having a blast here, proving myself wrong at every turn and getting better and better results from my sharpening. I can't wait to put hair whittling or sub 100 best edges on all my chopping knives and see what they do. Anyway, for now, I'll say peace out. Take care, guys.